Can you hear me?
Great.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll start by saying I'm not a digital person, I'm a sustainability person, so any technical questions I'll direct you to Ronnie, who is our digital representative. So I'm going to talk you through digital material passports and our approach as planned. So just before we get started, can we just have a quick show of hands for those who have heard of material passports, who have a bit of an understanding? Okay, well, this is maybe I don't even need to tell you then. Okay, well, I'll run through it anyway. So this is our sustainability strategy at BAM. It's focused on 6 key themes. There's the usual themes that you expect, such as decarbonisation, biodiversity, social value. But we also place a lot of emphasis on circularity. So circularity to us at BAM is focused predominantly on waste reduction, how we can be more efficient and effective with the materials that we use on our sites, how we can potentially utilise materials on other sites, so how we can share materials from site to site. But we also have a focus looking at the future, so how the buildings and infrastructure assets that we're creating and the materials that we're putting into those infrastructure assets can potentially be available for future use. And that's where material passports come in. They effectively facilitate that circular construction practice. So, again, this may be common knowledge to some of you, given that you've got a good understanding of what material passports are, but I thought I'd include some sort of key phrases or buzzwords that are trying to talk about the industry are leaning on in order to develop the approach and use of material passports. So, buildings as material banks, there's also the term urban mining. So, effectively what we're saying with that is that we have so much resource locked up within our existing buildings and infrastructure assets. We should be using them, we should be mining the urban environment as opposed to mining the natural environment. Also, we're continuously looking for efficiencies in construction. The idea behind buildings being just simply a kit of parts adds to that efficiency. The problem is we don't necessarily have an effective way to inventory the materials that are going into our buildings. And also within BAM, we're seeing a huge push for designing for disassembly. So lots of our clients have a really, really advanced sustainability agenda, lots of them are focused on circularity, and they're pushing their designers to design for disassembly, which is effectively saying they want their buildings or the resources held within their buildings to be recoverable at some point in the future. So effectively using mechanical fixings as opposed to pieces glued. So in essence, what I'm saying here is all materials have the ability to be reused. And materials only becomes waste because we lack the information we need in order to reuse it. So the idea behind material passports is to try and fill that gap, try and solve that problem. So a material passport is a digital identity. It aims to provide a single source of truth, all the information we need in order to effectively reuse as much of the material at deconstruction or decommission as possible. It needs to be stored in a single place. So lots of this information is available across various sources. So we produce lots of handover documents that we produce to our clients. The information is all there, but it's scattered around various different locations and sources. So the idea behind a material passport is to collate all of that information into a single source. So they can, that being said, they can store a wide range of information. It's not necessarily just details on how a building can be deconstructed. It's information on everything that facilitates that circular approach. So useful information like warranty details for products and materials, potentially financial information, so how much materials cost, how much material costs, technical data sheets, so we have a little bit more technical data around the materials that we're installing in our buildings and our assets. So yeah, they're an inclusive digital source for all of the information that can help facilitate circular construction. And just to take it back a little bit, I thought I'd provide a bit of a background on the governance of material passports, because ever since I've been in the industry, we've been talking about material passports as a concept, but they've been really slow to be adopted. There's been no real guidelines or guidance on what material passports should be or should include. So over the last 2 or 3 years, that's increased rapidly. So there are a number of organisations that have put forward some of their ideas of what the good practice and guidance looks like. The most robust of which came last year from the UK Green Build Council. So they set out, well, they did a really, really detailed, robust piece of work, and they listed out all of the information they felt was necessary to be included within a digital material passport for it to be as effective as it can be at ultimately recovering and reusing materials at the end of the building's life. So that was UK based. The Irish Green Build Council are doing something very similar, and they're building off the back of what the UK Green Build Council are doing at the moment, or have done last year, sorry. So yeah, we've been involved with the Irish Green Build Council as well in helping develop their approach to material passports. So there are a good handful of digital solutions for material passporting. Some of you may have come across Madasta, so it's the option that we've chosen. We have chosen them for a number of reasons. They're really, really advanced and developed in Europe. We've used them extensively in our Netherlands arm of the business. But that being said, there are lots of other options. It's not necessarily limited to Madasta within the UK. The concept of how it works from a digital perspective is really, really simple. Well, Ronnie might tell you otherwise, but it seems simple to me in my sustainability mind. So we input a BIM model in the form of an IFC file that has preset criteria within it. That links to the preset databases within the Madasta model, the Madasta system. And then it auto links the BIM model to the Madasta databases. We also have the ability to edit those databases and create our own databases so we can make it more project specific. The application also links to external sources and databases and marketplaces. So, for instance, it links to, or it tracks the value of certain materials on the open market, so it can link to the steel financial, how much steel costs at any one time. So, given the knowledge of how much steel we have in a building, for instance, we can track what that would be worth on the open market. And then ultimately, we produce the passport for our clients. And that passport is obviously most valuable in a digital form. So it sits alongside, it's effectively a material digital twin, sits alongside that building or built asset for the duration of its operational life. And any time within that operational life there's any maintenance, refurbishment phases, or at the point where the building is going to be demolished or deconstructed, the material passport is there to inform decisions on how those materials are recovered and reused. So there are 5 key criteria or metrics that we analyse when we're producing material passports. First one is mass, so it gives us a really good understanding of how much, or the quantity or volume of a particular material type within a building, broken down as a percentage. Circularity, so the amount of reused or recycled content within that building. Detachability, so based on how materials are connected together, how easy they can be taken apart, and it provides an indication of that. Embodied carbon, so it's a really, really useful tool to do some high-level embodied carbon analysis, which all of our clients want at the moment. I'm sure you've all experienced that as well. So if we have environmental product declarations, for instance, for the products that are in the system, it allows us to produce fairly high-level embodied carbon assessments. And material value, like I said, so for instance, given the knowledge of how much steel, as an example, we have in our building, when we're doing the mass analysis, we can understand what the financial value of that steel is on the open market. And then that creates a conversation about what we're doing with that steel at the end of the project. So yeah, hopefully that's going to give you an overview of what material passports are and what they do and the value they can add. I'll hand you over to Ronnie, and he's going to talk you through some more specific digital details.
Well, I'll be using this here. There's quite morning everybody. And obviously, we have now seen how we in BAM are using the whole data that has been provided to us in the model, and not just in the model. I would say all the information that comes across the whole site in Excel sheets and in different various forms. So what we found is that using Madasta, it really helped us. Whatever information is there in the model, we were able to export that out for our use in terms of the material passport. Now, obviously, it's quite easy to say, like you get a model in an IFC format, put it in, export it out. Yay, you have to, you've got all the material passport, all got the sustainability and the environment, check, happy. But it doesn't really happen that way, because not all softwares give you out the same IFC output. So that's where we was taking a step back there, and then we work with the whole Madastro team to make sure that how we can do that. So every export from the Revit works differently, from Tekla works differently, from, I would say, SolidWorks that works differently, from other items, also the time here as well, sorry. Yeah, so it's just not take much time here. So we realized in BAM that digital and sustainability do share the same goal. So for all the contractors out there who feel like we just need to build the building and then rest it all operational maintenance, and then we can just go ahead and let client do all the sustainability, circularity and all items. So we realized that early that it's not the case. We have to take the charge of it. Now, obviously sustainability depends on accurate, consistent data, and that's where the digital team stepped up, because we have got the expertise with us, including the models and including the other digital products as well. So, I'll say we already passed that slide. Now, this is where the digital team really made a difference. We work with the Madastro team, we work with the sustainability team, because obviously the information that we're getting in the model and inside the parameter has to be placed in the correct format and placed in the correct parameters. So we worked with them. So over the past, I think, 6 to 8 months, we were like 2 deep into this, and we realized that getting the, I think after a few months, we realized that getting the uniclass classification information was really, really important, because models could have various kind of informations embedded in different parameters inside an element, but then if you don't classify them correctly, they can be taken all wrong. So all the output that would come out, Joel would be here saying, like, oh, your model looks good, but the output, it doesn't what we really need, and it doesn't match the actual, the requirement by the client as well. So yeah, I would say, in the end, I would just say that we showed that how in the whole construction industry, all the team needs to work together to make sure every information that's coming in the model has to come out to give us the right output as well for the relevant team and the clients as well. So I think that's myself. Thank you.